That's awesome. Now, I mean, coming out of Milwaukee, making your way down here to the A-Town, being in the West End, and then you dropping an album that goes crazy.
Yeah, 5 times platinum.
Come on. How does your life change when you become a celebrity, though?
In every way, bro. In every way. And in fact...
And were you prepared for it?
No. I don't even think you can prepare for it. Okay. Now, I will say the younger artists now, like I'm looking at a plaque with Lil Baby, and I do think hip-hop has been around for so long now that artists like Lil Baby can look at whoever he was inspired by and say, okay, when I get on, or if I get on, I'm going to try it like this, or I'm going to follow their path. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that. Like I was telling you with Jermaine and all of us, we didn't have nobody in hip hop that was doing what we were trying to do prior to us on a nationwide bigger level. And so it just was new ground. And that's like, so it was hard. It was hard to adapt to fame. Not to mention it's your first album. You know, a lot of groups, like even Tribe Called Quest, they had albums that came out that weren't as big first and then it grew.
Yeah.
Ours wasn't like that. It's the first album. You know what I'm saying? The first album was our biggest album. So that's a weird thing to feel when you just getting your feet wet. You know what I'm saying?
When you're walking through the streets and everybody's recognizing you, though, how are you dealing with this newfound fame?
It was tough, man, but it was, you know, obviously it was beautiful too, but it was tough.
Yeah.
On the women tip, it was great. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? It was great. Because, you know, it's like, it was very easy to get, you know, but on every other tip, like I used to live in Lithonia. Yeah. And my house was, you know, being shown to everybody by the real estate agents. So like all the real estate agents was like, well, this is speech from Rest Development's house. So I would have fans waiting outside for me to come out to get my mail or to come out to do anything. Yeah. They were sleeping sometimes outside of the house. Yeah. So that's, you know, that's a different energy when you have people after you in that way. You know what I'm saying?
So mental health during all of this time, how were you mentally keeping it together also was the money changing at the same time?
Money was changing, especially for me because I produce, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so exactly.
I rhyme, so I did the lyrics, but I also produce, I did beats. So publishing more money than I'd ever seen in my life. You know
my God.
But it wasn't nothing compared to what people get now. But back then, we got $75,000 to do our album. Now what people need to know is like, that didn't just go in my pocket. We did the album, so we had to record at a studio with that. Clothing, getting out of our apartments, getting new apartments, moving here, moving there, all of that. All of that together was $75,000. That's not a lot of money, but it was more than I had ever seen.
How did it feel when you started to, you know, go into the upper echelons of Hollywood, but now you're seeing Jermaine Dupri, you're seeing Dallas Austin and people that you grew up with in the game, and y'all are meeting at the top. What was that feeling like?
It was amazing because, I mean, Jermaine, you know, when he came out with Crisscross, that's what his first huge success was, and it was as huge as Michael Jackson at that time.
Exactly.
Like Crisscross, I mean, people don't, I don't think you can really say easily how big they were. Yeah. Like they were doing private jets. Crisscross was doing like 2 to 3 shows a day, and Navs can attest to all of this because he was their DJ for a while. Yeah. 2 or 3 shows a day in different markets. So that means private jets, 2 or 3 private jet flights per day.
Crazy.
And opening for Michael Jackson at the height of, you know, one of the heights of his career. Like that's like unheard of. So my point is, Jermaine was by far the biggest success, and then we was second at that time with 5 million. Jermaine, Crisscross, I think, sold, I don't know, 10, 20 million, I forget. Yeah. And then we sold 5 million. And then later was, of course, TLC, and all of that was Dallas Austin, and the Organized Noise crew came in. So, I mean, all of that was a tad bit later. But yeah, man, it was amazing just to see all of us doing our thing.
How did you feel when Gangster Rap started to take over?
Well, you know, it's funny because Gangster Rap turned out to be the thing that just really never left. Because when we got in the game, NWA was huge.
Okay.
NWA was selling millions of records, you know what I'm saying? And Ice-T was doing good. I mean, so Cube was solo. He was doing great. Yeah. Even Schoolie D from Philly was doing pretty good. So, I mean, Gangster Rap always had a place. I felt like the goal for us was to try to at least balance the scale.
Exactly.
To where at first it was 80% Gangster Rap and 20% everything else. We was hoping it'd be at least 50-50 positive stuff, and, you know. And I think for a second it got there. You know what I'm saying? It got there. You know what I'm saying? It got to be more balanced. Like I'll say in the late 80s, early 90s, you had X-Clan, Brand Nubians, Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers, KRS-One, Arrested Development, Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, De La Soul. You had Queen Latifah. Yeah. You had a lot of different conscious acts, and then you had all the gangster acts too. Yeah. So I mean, we all coexisted. You know, that's to me the best of what black music should be, because I mean there is gangster life in black music. I mean in black culture. Yeah. But then there's also other styles. So I mean, I think all of that should be represented. You know.
When Tupac and Biggie hit the scene, and then next thing you know, they're beefing all over the place. Yeah. How do you feel like that impacted hip hop, and what was that like for you witnessing all of that stuff going on?
It was tough because I knew Tupac. I never met Biggie, but I knew Tupac. When he was here in Atlanta at the Fox, we met, and Tupac was how do you say it? Like basically, he had two sides to him. He had the revolutionary side that I am. He had that. His mom was in the Panthers. Yeah. His uncles, his sort of like father was in the Panthers. He knew that entire side, and he knew the gangster side. So he had both sides sort of flowing through his veins, and he was trying to figure out how to move the masses who are very much influenced by the sort of the gangster style, but also how to move them to a higher level. Yeah. So I think he was definitely trying to do that. And to be honest, a manufactured beef happen, because I'll be honest, a lot of the press at that time, because I'm from these times, I saw it firsthand, they had a lot to do with creating this East versus West beef. What really was just a beef between two rappers who actually knew each other and was friends. I mean, Tupac had Biggie spending the night with him at his crib before they were beefing, so they knew each other. Yeah. But later, because of all the press and the drumming up of the drama, it became a really obviously fatal type of conflict, you know what I'm saying, where both of them would end up being murdered because of this beef, you know.
What was your thought process, or what were your reaction to everything that was going on, witnessing this stuff firsthand and then knowing Tupac?
Yep. It was tough for me because I saw a few things happening at once. First of all, I saw the Telecommunications Act that was passed by Bill Clinton. And I'm a Clinton fan in general, but he did two things that I'll never, I won't say forgive him for, but I just feel like it was horrible. Yeah. One was the Telecommunications Act, which happened in '96. That act allowed major corporations to conglomerate and basically wipe out the little men, right? And so what Bad Boy was able to do was because of that 1996 Telecommunications Act, where Bad Boy was able to do huge records, and hip hop went from never selling out and not crossing over to, let's cross over and let's become CEOs and let's become moguls and let's become business people in the wrong way. Business people's great. Yeah. But it was all about the money, put it that way. And so I saw that happening and growing, which would end up making this whole beef become so huge. I mean, the Bad Boy versus, the whole Death Row thing just became a huge beast. And a lot of it corporate run, because these magazines and press at the time knew that this was making major money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so it reminded me of COINTELPRO, where, the FBI was purposely starting beefs between rival gangs and rival black communities in order to gain, basically division and death. And it reminded me of that. So I felt a lot when this was happening. And I felt like Tupac, unfortunately, was a victim to a lot of those things.
It's funny you say that, because I said that's what was going on now. It kind of reminded me of the same thing of what I was seeing going on in hip-hop now from a lot of the artists that I had interviewed along the way.
Facts.
It was so crazy for me, Speech, because, I mean, from between 2015 to 2025, I probably know about, I don't have enough fingers to count on my hands all the rappers that I've interviewed that have passed.
Oh, facts. Yeah, facts.
So it's like, it just seems a little deeper than rap to me sometimes.
Without a doubt.
When you said that, it just kind of triggered me a little bit.
No, it's real. It's real, bro. Yeah.
So now,